You know, the new car market is getting mighty crowded. Manufacturers are discovering new niches that no one even knew about. I mean, you've got your mini MPVs, your fun-size 4x4s, your Japanese rally homologation specials. And I'll tell you what, it's giving me a terrible headache. Because I remember a less complicated time, not so long ago, when there were basically only two kinds of cars. There were uncool cars, like Dad's Hillman Avenger estate, which were distinguished by their ordinary, everyday headlamps. And then there were cool cars, like the Lancia Stratos, the Ferrari 308 and the Chevrolet Corvette Stingray, all of which had pop-up headlamps. However, such exotica was a bit thin on the ground in the industrial northwest when I was a lad, but there was a British-built sports car with pop-up headlights that I used to see every day. Much maligned at the time, it's now enjoying something of a revival. Indeed, sports car lovers, it's the TR7, British Leyland's rorty two-seater for the 1970s, and a radical departure from the TRs of old. But it was let down by poor build quality and a gutless 2-litre engine. Nevertheless, they made 100,000 between 1975 and 1981. 3/4 of them went to the States. And the Americans loved it, although I'm sure they would have loved it a lot better if it had had the V8 engine it was supposed to all along. Only a handful of those 100,000 cars were actually what they called TR8s, with the old Rover 3.5 litre V8. But of course today, most people who buy a TR7 throw away that 2-litre engine with good reason and fit a good, lusty, throbbing 3.5 litre V8. And the V8's the thing, it's a fantastic engine and there's a huge amount of tuning parts available from it. This one's actually been uprated to 4 litres and around 250 brake horsepower. And the good news is that you could be getting bugs in your teeth in a rakish ragtop like this one for as little as 10 grand. First though, you'll need a donor car, and rusty wrecks like these can be picked up for a couple of £100. Of course, once you've got the car, chances are you'll need a V8 and a bit of work done on it before you take to the road. And these tatty cars are all about to get a makeover from a specialist in Ramsbottom in Lancashire. That's right, Ramsbottom.
They weren't protected at all from like the factory. It was just like bare steel underneath everything else that goes with it. And what we do is we take out all the faults, hopefully, that Bale put into it. They weren't protected, the paintwork was bad. Obviously, it all depends really how much people want to put into it, how much we're willing to do for that money.
The parts are readily available for the cars, some through the British Motor Heritage, or a lot of parts we have remanufactured ourselves. And a lot of parts are still available from obscure sources.
I like the looks, but one of the things I was never sure about was the upholstery. It was very, very 70s, wasn't it? And I believe that you lot are guilty of a special crime in that you've actually had it remanufactured.
Well, it has been remanufactured, yes, because there is a big call for it, for keeping the cars original, believe it or not. But that aside, we do all leather trims, velour trims, as well, to cater for everybody's individual tastes.
And individuality is what it's all about. Each car is completely personalised, and once you've paid for the basics to be sorted, well, the sky's the limit. You could even decide, if you wanted to keep the 2-litre engine. No, I don't think so. But what sort of person owns a TR7? Well, they're as different as the cars themselves.
You actually have to drive this car, as opposed to driving a modern car. You don't, you just guide it in the right direction. Everything does it for you virtually. You just put it where it needs to go. But this puts a smile on your face, basically.
We've done a lot to it, and S&S have done a lot to the car. And I think it's nice to be able to appreciate the car, which it should have been. It's probably better than it come out of the factory.
I didn't have the money when I was single, and then when I was married I needed 4 seats. Now I'm older, son's gone to university, and I wanted something that was fun.
And 2-seater fun doesn't come much cheaper, but be quick, because all of a sudden, TR7s are going fast. I tell you what, let's forget about snobbery and prejudice, or what crusty old buffers in double-breasted blazers say what is and what isn't a classic car. And let's just look at the car. What have we got here? Well, we've got a British-built 2-seater sports car, a convertible with a V8 engine and rear-wheel drive. It'll crack 0 to 60 in around 5 seconds and top 150 miles an hour. It's enormously exhilarating and hugely exciting car to drive because you absolutely have to drive it. I don't think this is going to be anybody's dream car, but that's the problem with dream cars. They're destined to remain dreams because they're usually priced way beyond the means of most ordinary motorists. If you dream of a Marcos or a TVR and drive a Mondeo or a Vectra, then I say this: stop dreaming, get out a bank loan for 10 grand and get yourself into a TR8. Trust me, wedges are where it's at. I'll tell you what, I'm going to get in terrible trouble with a classic crowd for even daring to suggest this. But you know what this car reminds me of? With its V8 engine, with its meaty steering, with a glorious sound that comes out the back and roars round inside the cabin. An Aston Martin Vantage Volante. There, that should upset a few people.